Allow me to introduce today's guest. Kim Hopkins is the founder and president of the Electric Connection of Los Angeles. He started the Electric Connection in 1979, and over the years, the company has grown into a 30 employee company, providing electrical services to property owners and businesses throughout the Los Angeles metropolitan area. The Electric Connection believes in quality and offers a lifetime guarantee on all their work. And I get incredible feedback. Kim, welcome. It's great to have you here today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate your amazing intro. I'll try to live up to all of those
Well,
wonderful.
I have a lot to say about you, Kim. I mean, you guys are great. I hear from our members all the time about the work you guys do, and it's spectacular. So keep up the good work. What can I tell you?
Well, that's our job, and that's what we do. So thank you for that. So should I start in on
Oh,
my
it's all,
presentation?
take the floor. It's all yours. I will go quiet.
Okay, I'm getting a little organized here. All right. So basically, I want to I want to address two things in this webinar. One of them is the 82 cooling mandate that has recently come about in LA County and is, I guess, what I hear likely to show up in because of the city of Los Angeles is trying to adopt some form of it, maybe a very similar thing. And as you mentioned, Daniel, perhaps the state of California as well. And then the other thing is something I've had a webinar on before, which is insurance requirements to replace aging electrical panels. So basically, I want to start with the insurance panel issue because it's going to tie into the 82 degree in about the middle of this presentation, how the thing is this, the city of Los Angeles or the Department of Building and Safety, they actually don't care about the panels. This is an insurance issue, not a building department issue. And on the other hand, the insurance company could care less about the 82 degree mandate. However, the city of Los Angeles, county, and state of California, they do care. The thing is, from my perspective as an electrical contractor, they tie in together. If you know about both of them, it's important to address both issues at the same time. So that's what I want to present in this. So basically, getting back to the insurance company, pretty much they have a policy of hiring a licensed electrical contractor to thoroughly inspect the electrical systems in each building covered by our insurance company and replace any unsafe electrical panels within the building with modern approved panels. Now, it can be just a really gentle letter like this that a landlord can get, or it can be very severe. It says something like, you've got Zinsco electrical panels and they must be removed within 30 days. Like it can get very extreme. So what we do at our company is we need to see whatever the motivation is of the person calling the landlord or their property management company. What are they looking to accomplish? And if they've got something in writing, we want to take a look at it so that we can address the exact issues that are brought up in by the insurance company. These are the kind of panels that insurance companies want to see replaced. They've basically been uh, flagged as dangerous. They've been recalled. You know, other things have happened over the last 50 years with these panels. And, you know, the bad boys that are people are often familiar with, Zinsco, Sylvania, GTE, Challenger, Push-O-Matic, they need to go according to the insurance companies. And so that's what the insurance companies are demanding. Or you can get, the California Fair Plan for insurance, but it's so expensive relative to it. Within a couple of years, the landlords might have been able to pay for replacing the panels, and then they end up with a lot less insurance expenses later because of going ahead and doing this kind of work. Here's a main panel. There's a before on the left and a after on the right. Uh, Exchanging panels completely, when you replace one with another, it can be quite expensive. There's another solution sometimes that we can help our clients with, which I'll go into in a bit. Here's some sub panels on the left that we've replaced, and this is what they look like on the right. Same story. Okay, so what you want to do is combine an evaluation when you're doing two things at once. You're evaluating with in mind what kind of panels the client has, what the building is, it safe, and at the same time you want to evaluate the 82-degree cooling mandate information, like is the building sufficiently powered to handle the new air conditioners. Now, some clients already have air conditioners in all their units. This is terrific because obviously they work and they're probably already in compliance with the mandate, which is terrific. Unfortunately, they may have the panels that are large enough to handle it may be the wrong brand, so they may have to replace the panels. If some of our clients get very lucky and they have large enough panels. They're not a brand that's banned by the insurance companies and they already have air conditioning. So it's proven to be working. They're covered. They're good to go. So we do in our company, I'll just talk about what we do because it can apply to other contractors to a more or less degree. This is what we do. We get information from the client, which I mentioned, and then we send out our field superintendent. He does an on-site investigation. He notes the brand of the main service. He determines the load capacity of the main service. He sees what the load capacity is on the sub panels and also what their brand is. And this is where it gets interesting. He determines if the existing power to the sub panel is sufficient to handle the additional load of a heat pump or air conditioner if they're not there when we look. If they're going to be added, it's a little more complicated than just saying you need more power. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. It's about the square footage of the rooms involved. And so it's helpful that someone would know how to figure that out. And also, here's the fun part. You can have sub panels. Let's say you have a 10-unit building and you have 50 amp sub panels in each unit. And it turns out, yeah, you've got enough power to add air conditioning in the rooms that need to have air conditioning. So you're good to go. But now remember that there's a main panel for the entire building that also needs to have enough power to supply all of those sub panels. So in the middle of the summer, it'll be all of the units are turned on at one time. So the second question, other than are the sub panels big enough, is the main panel large enough to handle this increased load? So all these things are evaluated by our field superintendent when we go out there. After he does that, he sends it to me, and I review the report that he has written with all the images he's taken and whatnot. And I talk it over with the field superintendent as needed. Then if there is any work that needs to be done, if a client's very lucky, we just send something saying, here's all the information, you're good to go. Unfortunately, that sometimes is not the case, or maybe more often than sometimes. And so the report's going to include a cost evaluation to meet the current insurance requirements. And at the same time, it's going to include a cost evaluation regarding the 82 mandate if any work needs to be done regarding that. Once I've done that, gone over everything, I send a calendar invitation to the client or the property management, whoever it is that wants to, evaluate this information. And I go over with the client all the information on the report. I answer any questions, and very important, discuss many different options regarding this project. It's not just that every building is different, every tenant is different, and every manager is different, and more importantly, every owner is different. Like they may have goals that they want to sell the building in 2 years. This is going to affect what we recommend they do. Or maybe they want to keep it long term, but at the same time, they want to remodel the kitchens. Well, okay, then we have to talk about that. Like, for instance, they want to put in a dishwasher or a microwave. Do they have enough power for that? Maybe they have to make judgments about, okay, it's going to cost X amount to increase the power to each unit, but if they don't increase the power, they'd still have enough for air conditioning if they didn't add a dishwasher. So all of these things come up in the conversation that we have. And then we also are in a position to provide any written documentation to the insurance company as needed. So that's basically how we operate with our evaluation, which then is covered, the 82 degree and the insurance company. And even if nothing is done for even a year, we still have the records, so we can go back and advise clients on what the next step is. Like maybe they're going to wait until the mandate comes into effect. And here's another thing too, but I'm going to talk about why I really recommend that to our clients that they do this evaluation soon. Like basically don't wait, whether or not they've got a letter for the insurance company, whether, that they're waiting for LA City to decide if they want this mandate to be enforced. The bottom line is if they do the evaluation now, we keep that. We have all the images, we have the records, and also the client knows what they're getting into in advance, whether they do any work or not. And more importantly, this has come up with EV car chargers more than once. In fact, quite often, certain programs come, economic programs. Like it's not impossible that state of California may say, yes, you have to do this, and here's a fund that you can get some of the financing relief from, that kind of thing. My experience for sure is it's a first come, first serve situation. And so it's really good. Like with my clients that have done the evaluations already, they're ready to go. They just say, okay, we know what we need to do, and this is what it's going to cost, and we want to apply for funding. So that's something to think about why you might want to get these evaluations done in a relaxed way with no emergency. You have take all the time you need to decide what to do, talk to the board members if it's a condominium, whatever. It's very helpful to just in a relaxed, organized way decide what's best for each building. Okay, this is about who should be able to do an evaluation. And obviously, whoever does the evaluation should be able to do the work because they know what they're doing. But I'm just going to go over this list. Some of them are pretty obvious, like the electrical contractor should have a current C10 electrical license. That's pretty obvious. It's in force. And then also they should have pretty robust liability insurance. Like I think $1 million liability is absolute minimum. Like I think our company has 3 million plus an umbrella coverage past that. But I'm just saying, make sure because things happen and you want your contractor to have liability insurance. You want them to make sure that their workers' comp policy is up to date and also a warranty. Like it's a minimum of a year warranty on the labor. Ours is basically a lifetime warranty on labor. So, maybe it's 5 years or 1 year, but I recommend a large warranty for that, the length of time. And then on the material, like at least with us, we just warranty it exactly whatever the manufacturer, whatever the maximum is they do. That's our warranty on the material since we didn't, make it or anything. Okay, another thing you should look for when looking for a contractor to do an evaluation or this kind of work is, do they have references of previously done replacement of subpanels, main panel, or, do they have any kind of references like that? It's very important because things can happen. Uh, and they can be really revelatory with whatever you find out from, previous jobs that person has done. So the experience is important. It's any contractor, any electric guy can go out there and replace a panel. You pull one out, you put one in. But there's so many codes involved in apartment buildings, and there's so many little ins and outs of this kind of thing that it's really helpful that this is kind of a specialty that they do, and there are contractors like that out there, and I recommend you find specialty. And one way to know that is have they done 2 or 3 buildings already, at least, that they can show references. So that would be something to look forward to. Also, it's important that whoever is out there, the crew that does the work, everybody there should have experience with tenant relations. Like we've trained all of our guys to really pay attention to the needs of the tenants. Like maybe somebody's sick that day, they got a Doberman Pinscher that's barking at them, or the key is to be very polite, be very calm, work with the manager. I'll give you a tip. Like it's really helpful when we're going from unit to unit. that the manager is there if there is a visible manager so that the tenants feel calm and trusting because they already know at least somebody that's coming into their unit. So that's one of our 10-point tips on tenant relations. It's good to have a very organized contractor for a lot of reasons. Obviously, scheduling the work, they're not like a one-day job when you're replacing panels. I'll just keep talking about a 10-unit building as an example, but maybe we can do two a day. And so that's 5 days, Monday through Friday, whatever it's going to be. It's important that the first day, if we've given tenants notice, 24-hour notice, it's going to be unit 101 and 102 that we actually show up, and so it's critical. It's better to have a slightly larger company than like a one-man operation because no matter what happens with us, if we have a truck breaks down or an employee calls in sick or something, we have backup. So it's critical to not break whatever the rhythm is on the project. And so that takes somewhat some organization to do that. It's helpful if the people working on it are familiar with this 82-degree mandate because they're going to be asked questions about it. They can look at the panel and make sure that like where are we going to run the wires to the heat pumps if we ever do that job, and then they can take photographs so that we have records for it in the future if it ever comes up. We may not do that for 2 or 3 years, but we still already know just a phone call away would give the owners what they need to do to make decisions. So let's see what else we have here. I think that pretty much covers it. There's something about financial assistance. It's kind of amazing luck sometimes, if you want to call it that. But there are buildings that have a affordability covenant or there's Section 8 housing. There are currently programs to give those owners of those buildings financial assistance. I'm literally working on a project right now that theoretically is going to cost the owner nothing, and it's going to be like a $60,000 job. I mean, it's quite amazing. Unfortunately, it's not for high income areas. It's kind of a low income concept, but nevertheless, if anyone listening here has that kind of situation, be aware that maybe you might be able to get very good funding for an expensive job. And the last thing on this list that I have here is has experience to know how to minimize the cost of the job. This is really important. So rather than just say it costs X amount to replace your panel or your main panel, your sub panel, it's way better if someone's got a lot of experience to know the ins and outs, because sometimes it can save enormous amounts of money, and I'll mention it in a minute, some of that. One of these ways to save money is a simple way. When you pull out a main panel, if you can see these on the right-hand side here, the middle one, you can see like a white area around it. That's the patching that was done because when you take out an electrical panel and you put another one back, a new one, there's like a slot all the way around the panel that has to be patched. We charge $150 for each patching situation. However, like let's say it's a 50 unit building, it makes a difference. 150 times 50 is quite a lot of money. Ironically, the larger, or maybe helpfully, the larger the building, the more likely they have some kind of handyman situation that they've already got in place. We're very happy to work with handymen and let them do this part of the project. And we even have like a little paper pamphlet that shows them specifically what to do with photographs. But one way to save some money is to get handymen to do that part of the project. And then there's another way to save a lot of money, and this is a huge, huge deal. This is using Connecticut breakers to replace the circuit breakers in a non-conforming brand. Like let's take a Zinsco panel the insurance company will say something like, get rid of your Zinsco electrical panel. But you know what? Like that's going to cost, oh, let's just say $50,000 to do that, or maybe 75. It depends. It could be hugely more than that if it's underground and it's a 800 amp service. But the point is, there's a different way to go. Rather than replace the entire panel, there's a company out there called Connecticut that replaces certain brands with their own models of the same shape of circuit breaker that are modern, laboratory approved and tested. They work just like a brand new breaker, only you just have to replace the breaker. So when we get into that kind of situation, which is quite often, what we can do is we can tell the owner, look, you don't need to replace the main panel. What you need to do is recondition the main panel. We'll sand down the bus bars and tighten up the bolts, and we'll do all of that and make it almost like brand new. Then we'll put in these Connecticut breakers to replace the Zinsco. And it's less than 10% the cost. If it's a, let's just say it's a $75,000, 400 amp service, it becomes maybe 5 or 6,000 to replace all the breakers and recondition the panel. So it's enormously beneficial, and we've done this with many of our clients. And keeping that in mind, uh, I think I missed one. Yeah, okay. What you need is an insurance broker that understands how to find an insurance company that works with Connecticut. That's the simple way to say that. Some insurance companies don't, or they can't, or they don't like the building for some other reason, but often they do. My experience is it's getting easier to use Connecticut breakers. Like the word is more out. You see, insurance companies, they Google which are the bad circuit breakers or panels, and then they just, make a policy. The white collar guy that's never been out on a job doesn't understand the difference between a circuit breaker and a main electrical panel. But I've seen it. I've literally seen in letters that they'll transfer back and forth these two terms, and they're completely different. So it's about insurance company executives or underwriters, their ignorance, and but if you can find a good broker, they're familiar with this, they can make it happen for you quite often. Another way to save money is to not spend more than you thought you needed to. And what that means is a contractor says, yes, this job's going to cost $20,000 and this is the work we're going to do. And then halfway through the job, they say, oh, this mean old inspector, they said we can't put the panel in the same place because there's new codes about that. Or there's a fire rated wall and now we have to build a special box around it. Or there's a new policy about surge protection. They just started, they didn't used to enforce it. So I'm sorry, I've got to charge you more money now. Well, that's not what you want. What you want is some experienced contractor to be responsible and know everything about these kind of jobs, and so that it doesn't come up where there's an upset in the middle of the project. Like, should you pay them more or should you make them just do what they promised to do? That's up to you. Like we tend to want to just never raise our prices if at all possible. It's not always perfect, but that's almost always what we have signed a contract for. I'd say 99 out of 100. There can be some really crazy things that come up, but basically you want an experienced electrician to give you a true price before they start the project. There's another way to save money. Uh, this is like a good and a bad. Like, let's say you do have to replace the main electrical service. Okay, it's going to be very expensive, but you may have to do it because let's say you've got a 200 amp main that furnishes power to, let's say, 10 apartment units. That's enough, but it won't be enough if you're going to put in air conditioning. So if you're going to put in air conditioning, you're going to change that to like a 400 amp instead of a 200 amp. We can handle the 400 amps ourselves completely in-house, and that's great because they're pretty fast to get these projects done. But above 400 amps, let's say you get into a 20 unit building that needs an 800 amp or more, that becomes a really big issue because a lot of times underground parking locations they have new codes about what the panels are going to look like and what they're going to be. And sometimes the rooms that they were in aren't even large enough anymore to put them. Anyway, so there's ways to get a variance sometimes that allows you to do stuff that Water and Power or Southern California Edison doesn't currently endorse, but they will sometimes allow it if you can go through the gauntlet of getting a variance, which we do. And it's been quite successful. We just saved a client, oh, I don't know, literally about $500,000 because they had something that looks just like this, only the the new code says there's single phase power and there's three phase. Let's say for the elevator, there's three phase and everything else is single. Well, until About 20 years ago, it was just there's a three-phase panel and there's the very large single-phase panel for all the units. However, Water and Power has now decided, no, you have to combine them. So you have to put all of it. So you have to get a really big three-phase panel and just take away from that the single phase that you need. So the problem with that is in a job like this, it would have cost another $250,000 to sum it up. We avoided that by getting a variance by really proving essentially that the insurance company was making them do this. They had to do it, and a lot of other things, but ultimately we got an approved variance on that particular job. So that's another way you can save quite a bit of money. Okay, I guess we're getting toward the end here. By the way, that's a younger picture of me, but too bad. Anyway, so look, hire your own electrician if you want, if you feel comfortable with that. And just if you wanted me to look at it over the phone, if we don't go out, I do it for free. I do free consulting. What I do is I just look over whatever the project is. It's not so much looking at the price that I need. I need to know the scope of work that they're referring to, and then I can point out, well, they didn't put in this contract anyway, they didn't put in surge protection for all the sub panels, or whatever I'm going to say. Or I might say, look, it looks pretty good. It looks like it's a very good bid. So if you like them and if you trust them, then do it. So either way, I'm more than happy to go over any project like that.